Well, hello. Welcome back to the channel. This is Jimmy. Thank y'all for clicking on another video.
Yeah.
Super excited about this. This is my son's, one of my son's good friends.
Yes, sir.
Young man named Kenny that I've known for the last couple years, and inspire me every day. Just the way he shows up, his positive energy. Let Kenny formally introduce himself and tell us a few things.
All right. Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. My name is Ayeme-K-Owona, or more commonly known as Kenny. I guess I am a cybersecurity student at Prince George's Community College. Graduated from the best high school in the DMV, Charles Herbert Flowers High School, last year. Shout out Dr. Brown and the whole team. And I am on my way to Howard University studying my passion, which is communications.
Communications, all right, bad. So at the Howard, so you stand in the DMV, I love it.
Yes.
Beautiful institution.
Yes.
All right. Well, what drew you to communications?
I think the beauty of just other people. I think that's really become like a lost art. Really, just living to serve other people, and finding that when you serve other people, when you help others, when you find other people or help other people find and achieve their dreams and their goals, there's a different type of like satisfaction in that. I base a lot of the things that I actually do in one word, and that's community.
Yeah.
So if you hear me talking, you listen to any of my speaking engagements, anything, it'll be community, because I'm all about spreading information and making sure that people can get their peers, my peers, and students and young people that look like me to get the opportunities that we're not typically, given. So.
Oh man, listen, I love the passion of living to serve other people, and you can never go wrong, with that passion. I would love, look, I meet a lot of young folks, and I think I don't meet a lot of people that have that outward perspective. Like, maybe tell me a little bit more like how that mindset came around. Have you always been that way, or?
I'm gonna be honest, maybe.
Yeah. Okay.
Because I have to take the time to give honor to my mother and my father, who really did a great job raising my siblings and I, because we were homeschooled. And so I think one of the biggest things that I was able to take from that was emotional intelligence. Yeah, I think that is the common denominator of all of the issues that we have in today's society with my peers. It's like emotional intelligence is what we're really missing. And I think that's probably one of the greatest things that I could have received from my parents, one of the greatest gifts I could have received from them. And just with that intelligence, I was able to kind of mature a little bit faster, which came with its own challenges, of course. But overall, I think that's probably how I was able to have this mindset of real service and just community, because you realize once you step outside of yourself, there's a whole world out there. Yeah.
Man, I love that. I love that you brought it back to emotional intelligence. I think, we're in a space where artificial intelligence is kind of taking over, and you're going into cybersecurity.
Yeah.
You're talking about emotional intelligence, and I think it's important that we really teach that skill today, because it's going to be about that. Tell me a little bit more about how you define EQ, emotional intelligence, and what are some tactics that you think that you use to kind of stay grounded when you find yourself misaligned?
So I would actually put EQ into 3 categories: personal development, engagement, and proactivity and planning. Those would be the 3 things that I would say these really help increase your emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
So from the top down, when you think about personal development, what do you think of?
I think about, seeking new skills, whether that's learning through reading books, podcasts,
there you go,
putting yourself out there, etc.
Exactly. So personal development, one of the main things is exposure.
Okay.
Right? But good exposure. Right? You can learn from good experiences, you can learn from bad experiences. They say you either learn the hard way, right?
Yeah.
But I feel like emotional intelligence really it's important for anyone who's looking to develop themselves to have physical activity.
Yeah.
Right? Have some sort of, activity that they're doing with their body to get active, right? It's actually scientifically proven that if you remain active for at least an hour a day, you're a lot happier. You're a lot happier. Your relationships get better.
Yeah.
All of the above. It releases endorphins in your brains that gives
Well, I
you.
like these walking talks.
And that's why I love the walking
30
talk.
minutes, right? At least
Listen.
you're always halfway done.
Pick the pace up.
Right?
But yeah, so I would definitely say that one of the main things for me has been physical activity, and it gives me the opportunity, especially as a young man, to wrestle and battle with the thoughts that I experience. You know, because unfortunately, as young men, and even as men in general, society doesn't necessarily offer us a safe space for us to communicate our thoughts and communicate our feelings.
You're always supposed to look hard and be hard.
And that's something that's a stigma that I hope to one day actually aid in tearing down.
Love that, man.
You know, so
listen, that's awesome. I mean, listen, you're well on your way to making that impact. So talk me through. So we talked about communication. That's what you're going to school for.
Yeah.
And tell a little bit more around that decision and what you hope to unlock with that concentration.
So it's so funny that you say that because I went to community college, and I encourage all of my peers that don't necessarily know what they want to do fresh out of high school. They don't know if they want to go to college. Go to community college. It is affordable.
Yeah.
You can get scholarships in Maryland. You can find scholarships everywhere. Maryland General Assembly. You can go out there. You can get scholarships. It reduces the cost almost completely, and you don't even understand the sheer amount of opportunities that are out there.
Yeah.
I mean, I want to take a moment to highlight DMSI, Diverse Male Student Initiatives, led by my mentor, Brian Hamlin, and Miss Katrina and Mr. Ross. But they actually just sent us to Florida to what's called the National Black, Brown, and College Bound Summit, where I was able to meet with people like Omari Hardwick, so Ghost off of Power, Stedman Graham, you know what I mean? All these different people, and it's wait a minute, this was free.
That's awesome.
Oh yeah, we gotta get into that
free.
too. It was free. My favorite price, free 99. So what led me to that decision was when I realized that my peers, we don't necessarily have that unapologetic attitude to us. We walk in the room, we want something, but we got to go get it the right way.
Yeah.
You know, and networking, communication, an upgraded vocabulary. Those are the things that, or vernacular, if you will.
Get real fancy with the words.
But those are the things that really help promote the people that look like us to get into those spaces of ownership, right? Yeah. So that's really what sent me into communications, to really help, I guess, lead the charge of the new generation that starts to change the world using their words.
Yeah.
And in a different way, because I'm not going to be no rapper. I cannot rhyme.
And I love that, man. So, you're investing in yourself and you're sharpening your skills. And, I love that you're putting the challenge out there for people that don't got it figured out. You still continue your education.
Yeah.
And it's okay if you don't have it figured out.
Oh, yeah.
I think we put this expectation on ourselves. You're supposed to have it figured out. And I mean, quite honestly, it doesn't mean you can't be having a good living. But most of us don't figure it out until we're in our 30s.
You need to say that one more time.
It took me till about in my 30s to really figure out this is how I'm going to go make an impact.
Yeah.
All this other time, I'm building skills.
Yeah.
And I've always approached work as that I'm paid to be educated.
Oh, wow.
And right now, I'm paid to be educated by the #1 company in the world because I work for Apple.
Yeah.
Right. And so wherever that leads me, but it's been through these experiences I've started to figure out this is where I can make an impact. Here's where I'm really, really skilled that I can continue to develop.
That's good.
Man, listen.
That's true.
That. So you talked about networking. Yeah. And I think this is going to be probably one of those skills, right? Your network
is your net worth. Yep.
And we're in a generation where it's a lot of digital conversation.
Correct.
Not as much of that. So tell me a little bit about your philosophy. We'd love to hear your approach on networking.
Networking is essential. Networking is a cornerstone to any sort of success. You cannot find any sort of success on your own. I'm sorry. I know Steve Jobs did it and no, they didn't. They had somebody that supported them somewhere along the line.
Yeah.
And networking, quite literally, is just the principle of finding someone who has better skills than you, maybe different skills than you, and when you two join together, you're unstoppable. And that's why I want to rewind back to when I was talking about community.
Yeah.
Because that's what community offers you. If you know you don't have any food in the fridge, I'm from West Africa. Shout out my Cameroonians and my Liberians. You go across the street, you knock on the door, auntie, uncle, you get food small. That means you have food. You got
Yeah.
some food. If you don't got food in the fridge, but they got food in the fridge and they give you food,
got food.
you got food. So that's what networking is really about. Networking simply just means that you take the time to step outside of yourself
Yeah.
and communicate with someone else, not strictly for what they can offer,
Yeah.
but for just who they are.
So you talk about the community,
Yeah.
you having food, and that's really what networking
Yeah.
is.
Yeah. that's networking, man. I mean, some other people might qualify networking by different things,
Yeah.
and maybe I'm not doing the greatest job.
Yeah.
But I just think that networking, honestly, is just talking to someone else and getting to a goal together.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what it's about.
I love the perspective. Tell me more about like the comfort to do that, right? Because a lot of people don't have, like, they get a little nervous when they're approaching somebody they don't know, right? I'm assuming positive intent. That's why a lot of people don't go outside themselves. They're fearful of being judged. And you're so open. Like, maybe tell me a little bit more about your mindset there.
It's hard. It's hard. People think that being empathetic and being open to others and being a communicator is easy. It's not. The first thing is that you spend a lot of energy.
Yeah.
I think that's another thing that is really, really important. Our young people nowadays, my peers and I, we have to understand the principle of energy.
Yeah.
What is it? How do you spend it? How do you save it?
Yeah.
And where can you use it? How can you use it?
Yeah.
Right? And the more that you sit with yourself, the more those answers start to unfold. But that's a conversation topic for another time.
Okay.
But yeah, I would definitely say that, and I want to take the time to highlight another one of my mentors, which I want us to take the time to also talk about mentorship, because that's huge.
Yeah.
Huge. Delegate Kent Roberson. I had the privilege to work for him with his team in the Maryland General Assembly this past legislative session. And I remember one thing that he said to me, it stuck to me like white on rice. This guy told me when I wanted to walk up to my community college president. She came into Annapolis for an advocacy day, and I wanted to talk to her, but I didn't necessarily know how I was going to connect with her.
Yeah.
So I wanted her information, and I was like scared, and then she left. So lo and behold, he's like, well, why did you get her information? She's so lovely. She loves you. She knows all the things you do.
Yeah.
I said, I didn't ask. This guy looked at me dead in my face and said, the worst thing that anybody can ever say to you is no.
Yeah.
So that's what I took to heart. Now I just ask questions.
Yeah.
I just ask questions. And, you know, they say in our neighborhoods, in our communities, that closed mouths don't get fed. Why did we only think that was about food?
That's a bar.
You know?
That's a bar.
Yeah.
Closed mouths don't get fed. It's not just about food.
No.
Man, listen, I love that mindset, man. I think that's really, really strong. And I love that you have this passion to want to like teach your peers in your community about it. So you've done some speaking engagements.
Yeah.
Walk me through that. Yeah, walk me through that experience, because again, like this is really, really good skills that you're going to be able to take anywhere. And I think people hearing like your mindset and how you approach these events can hopefully maybe inspire the next person that's a little nervous, and make them jump on that stage.
Well, the first thing is I'm grateful. That's the first thing. I think that nothing in this world is given at all. You have to work for what you want. You have to stand out. Yeah. And so to my peers that are shy, to my peers who don't really think they can, talk, they can't speak, or whatever the case may be, you have to understand that there is a uniqueness about you. There are 8 billion people on this planet, and there's only one. That's you. Only one.
Yeah.
Can you imagine the type of rarity you are?
Yeah.
Like, I don't.
8 billion in one.
You are 1 in 8 billion. I am not a mathematician, but that sounds like a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, it amazes me the complexity and the difference in everybody's story.
Yeah.
So the first step is to know that I'm grateful. That the opportunities that that come across my path, or the privileges and the honors that I get to experience, that I believe my higher power has gifted them to me for me to carry out this will, right? The second thing is that I'm unique. I have a unique story. I come from, a West African culture. I'm a first generation, a son of 2 immigrants who fought their way to get to this country. I was homeschooled, got into school 2 years earlier than everyone else, but my story is unique.
Yeah.
So that empowers my voice to say, you know what? I'm going to go out and I'm going to share that story, and I'm going to share those challenges for those who might experience something similar. So you talked about, or you asked about what speaking engagements did I do? A lot of them were about mental health. Mental health is really huge for me, because for all of my people that went through the pandemic as a student,
Yeah.
the pandemic, it did a number on us.
Yeah.
It did. And I believe that the effects of the pandemic still linger.
Yeah.
And we have to take the time to really fully get into that, right? But I was always one to be transparent, and to be vulnerable, because I think that all of the people who are successful, or all of the people who are these big, they have this big image, and you have all these expectations based on what they put out. You don't see what's really going on the back end.
Yeah. That's
So
true.
you got to take the time to just be different. Understand that your voice is special, you are unique, and every message is different. So why can't yours be important?
Man, he's dropping some knowledge for y'all. Yeah, man, I think, it's interesting you talk about the pandemic. Like, I was already an adult, so my experiences through it was, at first, oh man, I got to make sure my family's good.
Yeah.
I got to put away this just in case. A little bit different, but I was really upset as a dad, because like it took away, my son's freshman year. I remember my freshman experience of being able to be in class, and there's nothing like your freshman year.
That's right. That's true.
I would love to hear a little bit more about that through your lens, and like maybe some things you did to help keep those friends close to you.
Yeah.
Right, close, right. And cared for during a tough time like that.
So yeah, the pandemic really did a number. Sometimes it's hard to think about.
Yeah.
But when I was in the pandemic, one of the main things that I did was I reached out. I've always been someone that reaches out to my friends. I've always been someone that checks on them.
Yeah.
Right. Because you never know what someone's going through. Unfortunately, I fear that it was too common an experience that you would reach out to a friend, and they didn't reach out back. But that's because they couldn't anymore.
Yeah.
So, if you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So, I reached out. And I actually went out. I advocated for things like free network for the students who couldn't have Wi-Fi and things like that. So when we were all doing virtual school over the year, those companies weren't trying to give us free Wi-Fi. They said, we're not trying to lose our money. And we went up there. I was, one of the students with the teachers unions, and we're like, how? You just booted us all home. How is it? What about the students that can't afford that? What about the households that can't provide that? So we walked up to them. We said, you're going to give us this free Wi-Fi, this free network. And that's exactly what happened. So, that, and I think one of the most beautiful things that I actually had the opportunity to do and end up publish was writing a book. I wrote a book.
My man.
And so,
gotta put a plug. We're gonna link this in the description.
The name of the book is Word Up in Spite Of. So
that's a great title.
Thank you.
I'm definitely about to get it today.
Today, not tomorrow. So it's word up, like a positive word, a word in the upwards direction, right? Because it's too often that community members use our words to tear people down. Even if it's a joke.
Right.
And if it is a joke, just do yourself a favor and preface yourself.
Yeah.
Just say, by the way, this is a joke, or after that was a joke. You feel me?
I'm just having fun or something.
Yeah, something, because otherwise you don't really understand, it might stick.
Yeah.
You know? So that's word up. That's the word up piece of it. And in spite of, that's the part where no matter what you're going through, no matter the challenge you face, in spite of whatever you go through, there's a way out. So that's what the book is about. It talks about the pandemic. It uses some of the scenery that I had to experience when I was, depressed, and I was anxious, and I was isolated and just alone and didn't know what to do. I ran to nature, right? And so I took pictures of those moments that really, where I had those like turntable moments. And I wrote about it, and I wrote about what I went through and the words that brought me out of it. Like, one of my favorite words was prevail. So just prevailing through my instance and knowing that I could get out of it, and I did.
Dude, that's so many nuggets to unpack. And great work on getting the book. I'm definitely gonna go support, because I think that's a great message.
Thank you.
I'm gonna go back a little bit, because I want to double click, because this is no small feat that you shared. Where during a really challenging time, like, you were able to work up the energy and the courage to fight and levy for people to say, hey, this is the opportunity for you to make money. I'm going to give this away for free for people who need it. Like, what? Tell me a little bit more about that journey. Like, what were those conversations like? Like, I would love to hear, just like, because that's a big deal. Because we don't hear those type of steps always in today. That's a big deal.
A lot of the times people just see the finished product. And nobody really sees like what went behind it. But the first thing is, and I think this is the funniest part about any advocacy, any networking, because when, like, for instance, when we went to Florida, my peers and I, the DMSI program, we went to that summit. I didn't just bump into Stedman Graham. I had to pursue him. He came off the escalator. I walked up to him. And I said, hey, my name is Ayeme-K-Owona. I would love to speak to you. Can we talk? And he said, oh, you've shocked me, young man. Sure. You see what I'm saying? So you got to go out there. But the first thing that most people are going to do, Lord, the first thing that you're going to get is crazy looks. That's the funniest part. They're going to look at you like, who is you? I think I was 13 at the time. Short, stubby, low cut, a little overweight because of the pandemic. And I got my sign, and I'm like, you need to give us a free network. It's $1 million company. Probably billion. And they're looking at me like, huh? But
13.
I think the way you get through that, what makes it so unique is you have to know your why. So a good book that I think we need to plug in right here is Start With Why by Simon. Oh goodness,
Simon Sinek.
There you go, Simon Sinek. I'm about to say Simon.
Big Simon Sinek fan.
Yeah, and he actually spoke at that TED talk. Oh yeah, but Start With Why is a really, really great book. Start With Why. Matter of fact, we might just take the time to plug in literature that my peers need to be reading right now. Start With Why, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People.
Great book.
Identity Leadership by Stedman Graham. The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership by John Maxwell. Yeah, you need to be reading these books.
I'm a Maxwell certified team member, so you're speaking my
language.
Serious?
Oh, hold on now.
I'm a John Maxwell certified team member. I'm a speaker, and listen, that's a big deal. So very well read. Walk me through, because you could have named off 38 fiction books, right? You just hit us with some pretty hefty ones. How do you go about picking the things you're going to spend your time reading, and how do you protect time to read?
That's a bar. Ooh, how do we protect time? I'll be honest. I'm 17 years old. That's something I'm still learning.
Okay.
I think that I feel like there's some issue with like people who can't just be transparent. Like, I love this one guy. His name is Gary V. I'm sure.
I love Gary V.
You gotta know who Gary V is.
He's a legend.
Oh man, Gary V will tell you to your face. He's like, you're 21 years old. What makes you think you have to be a millionaire today? I didn't figure it out till I was 30. Relax.
Yeah.
He'll tell you just relax, ease through life. Consistency doesn't look like giving 100,000% every single day.
It's compound interest.
It's come on now.
Compound interest.
So you protect your time by having discipline. Discipline. Discipline is what tells you, I just like do want to go to that function for real, but like nah. So for my peers that get it, you get it, you know. So, and for those who don't get it, just means I want to go to this party or this engagement, but I've decided not to. So, you know what I mean?
That's great.
But that's discipline, and it's something that we have to be cognizant of. That's how we protect our time.
Yeah.
That's how we prioritize our time.
Yeah.
Because we all have the same 24 hours in a day. So you need to ask yourself, the people who are in the position that you want to be, what are they doing with their 24?
That's a bar.
Yeah.
That's a bar. Because you don't know what they sacrificed.
No, you don't. I used to have a PS5 in my room. I love playing the games. I'm a Call of Duty fan.
Yeah.
Okay? Been playing since the old Modern Warfare 2.
Yeah.
And it was in my room, on my desk. And I moved into my basement. Because
awesome.
It had no space in my room anymore.
Yeah.
Because in my room now are calendars, charts, boards, and books, and all kinds of stuff. So, you know, you have to just ask yourself, what am I willing to sacrifice to get where I want to be?
Love that, man. And listen, you're spot on, man. It is such a sacrifice. Like, you know, people always, to your point, see the end product.
Yeah.
And then you know, how did you get here? I'm like, well, you don't know, it started when I was 14.
Yeah.
And I don't tell you that so you don't feel like you can ever get there. But like the 10X, you got to take all your experiences.
Yeah.
Because they don't go away.
Oh yeah.
And so you're always able to build upon that and 10X from there, man. That's a really great perspective.
It's so funny you're talking about 10X. You look at people like Grant Cardone, right?
Yeah.
Grant Cardone is a multi-million-dollar real estate mogul. His children, Sabrina Carpenter and Sabrina Carpenter, that's an actress. Sabrina Cardone. And I think Elena is his wife. But
I don't think I know his kids.
Yeah, but Sabrina's a speaker.
Really?
Oh yeah, 10X speaker.
Okay.
I mean, on stages that you wouldn't even imagine. But that's not because of her daddy's money. No. She took the time to actually pursue her own dream.
Yeah.
And build the same skills that we were talking about earlier. So it's not that the people who are these millionaires and have all of this success and all these assets and this ownership, they're not necessarily different than us.
No.
They're not. Like, that's really what confuses me. You can own a business.
Yeah.
You can open an LLC. It's $145 for an article of organization.
Yeah.
So what are they doing that we're not? And as long as you take the time to sacrifice the things that disrupt you and distract you from that, and you tune yourself to that frequency, you'll find yourself in a much better position than a lot of our peers now.
Yeah. Love that, man. I love that mindset. And that's where it starts, right? Like you said a couple of nuggets, you know, like, you sound a lot like my son. And it's like understanding, like, you are unique, but at the same time, you're no different from anybody else. So if it's been done, like, why not?
Yeah.
Why not you? And I think if you're asking the right questions, it's not, well, you're looking for the things that's going to keep you from doing it versus looking for the similarities that'll show you how to do that roadmap.
That's a bar.
That's the game.
That's a bar.
Yeah, man.
That's a bar.
Dude, that's yeah, man. But listen, your mindset on that already at this stage, at your stage in your life, and I was probably in my late 20s before I was able to really start piecing that together. And like, I think clearly good, but you also talked a lot about gratitude. I heard you say gratitude probably, I don't know, probably 15 times.
Yeah.
And as well, walk me through like that feeling, and why is that so important to you? Because people don't realize gratitude is a choice.
Ooh, yes, it is. Yes, it is. Gratitude is a choice. I can't. I don't know any way else to say it, but in my book, of my religious faith, the word said, the living word says, that God resists the humble. God resists the proud, but lifts up the humble. So when you take the time to think about that, it's like, how can I be humble? How can I look at someone else and look at where I am and take the time to say, I could be there.
Mm.
Or I couldn't be where I am. Gratitude is one of the most important, I think one of the most powerful things that we actually have.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't even go as far as to say it's a choice, because when you say gratitude, or when you say choice, it means that there's one or the other.
Yeah.
Gratitude is a decision.
Mm.
If you break down the word decide, right?
Yeah. That's the bar.
The word side means to kill.
Yeah.
Right? So you have like genocide, pesticide, right?
I know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, makes sense.
And D means from.
Huh.
So excuse me, not from, it means to. So when you say decide, it means you're deciding to kill something.
Mm.
So there is no one or the other. There's only one.
Yeah.
Right? But gratitude, when you talk about gratitude being a decision, a lot of people don't have what it takes to just be humble and to just look at someone else or look at their situation and say, I'm grateful for what I have.
Yeah.
Because one thing that I find so interesting is that none of the things that all of the things that we have can be taken away.
Mm-hmm.
Every last one of them. That's why I talk about mentorship so much.
Yeah.
It's such an important piece of where our youth and our young people should be looking towards.
Yeah.
Because mentorship will open your eyes to a life before you.
Yeah.
For you to see the way people did live.
Yeah.
To see the experiences people did go through.
Mm-hmm.
Entitlement is a destroyer.
1000%.
Entitlement is probably one of the worst things as a young person you can ever have.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a point in time in my life where I was entitled.
Yeah.
I'm the youngest. I got siblings. I don't need to lift a finger.
Yeah.
But when you believe that you deserve anything,
Yeah.
it's a little weird.
Yeah.
Because you look at the people who own things, you look at the people who work hard, you look at the people who are where you want to be, even the people, even my peers that look up to the artists and the rappers and all of that fame, they still had to work for it.
Yep.
Look at people like Jay-Z.
Yeah. Face without works is dead.
It is dead. It's 6 feet under.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to be able to work. You have to be able to go and seek those mentors. You have to be able, as we just, compile all the things we were talking about, you have to go out and personal develop. You have to find skills. You have to network. You have to have gratitude. You have to find a mentor, because those are all the experiences that are going to shape something completely different in your life.
Yeah.
So nothing is given. Everything is earned.
Man, you are extremely wise, sir. Wise behind your heart, but well beyond your years. Y'all looking at the 2044 president of the United States, if that's what he decides to do. Listen, man, great conversation. Really amazing perspective. I hope a lot of people took away some of those things. Like, you can't really get anything good without starting from a place of gratitude.
Yeah.
And as a kid from the projects in Cleveland,
there you go.
I don't really recall very moments in my life to where I wasn't grateful for what I had, because I knew there was people out there that didn't, or even the fact, I think to your point, like the lifestyle you live as an American today. I'm not saying everybody lives in PG County.
Yeah.
But even like because we're such a wealthy country, like there's things that we still can appreciate.
Yeah.
And I love you talk about a mentorship, because your life might not change overnight, but you can change the direction overnight. And like, what are you doing to start just moving?
That was a bar.
Yeah, but just moving in that one positive direction every day, man. So you just share some nuggets.
Yeah.
The entitlement piece.
Yeah.
I love that as well. Because when you feel entitled to it, you're not gonna go work for it.
You're not gonna work for it, man.
And work it. I'm telling you, when you work for it and you earn it,
it feels different.
There's nothing that's
my
better.
God, I'm so glad you said that. I'm on a mission to get like 10,000 steps a day, right?
Yeah.
And I'm so glad we're on this walk and talk.
Yeah.
I love this platform.
Oh man,
it encourages and encompasses all the things that I love, right?
Yeah.
Physical activity, development, all that stuff. But a couple of days ago, I got 9,700 steps. I was running until 12 o'clock. So at like 11:58, I'm like, I'm trying to do high knees, right? But I didn't get it.
Yeah.
I didn't get it. And I sat for a second. I said, well, why didn't you get 10,000 steps? You knew you had the time to do it.
Mm-hmm.
But I look back. at the rest of the week, and I have a 9-day streak of 10,000 steps. Success is not measured by the result. Success is measured by who we are in the end. Because 10,000 steps or not, I walk, I run, I exercise every day, I'm gonna look good.
I love it, you know?
You know, and if you think about all of the things that you do, you have to, and that's why goal setting is so important. Because you have to think with the end in mind. Why am I doing 10,000 steps? Because I want to be fit. Because I want to have endurance. Because I want to maybe be fast. But if you think about it, 10,000 steps isn't what brings that to me. It's doing it every day.
Jeez. My man. Listen, bro, this was an amazing conversation. I hope, hey, I'm going to share obviously with my folks, share with your friends. I think you dropped some gems that I don't care where you are in your life, you can benefit from. I mean, I know adults that never had a mentor, and I'm like,
you gotta
get you a mentor, right? I mean, and listen, sometimes you find a good, successful one that's free, great. Sometimes you might have to pay somebody for their time a little bit because it's respectful. Like, that's just what it takes. But I promise you, if it makes you feel good, there's really not. You can only put a price tag on it. And to me, like, talking to a therapist is worth every penny. Because if I walk out feeling great about myself, I don't know. Like, what else? I buy stuff to feel good. So if you don't have a cap on that, you shouldn't have a cap on even a conversation to work. Man.
That's right.
So listen, y'all. Anything you want to leave the channel with before we wrap?
The last thing I want to say to my peers. I know I'm biased. I keep talking to my peers, but those are my people. I can't. You know, the old heads. Y'all can just listen. Y'all have been through life already. Community service. Get active in your community, y'all. Engagement. Ask questions. Talk to people about community service, whether it's, I don't know, give food kitchens, soup kitchens, wherever. Just get out active. Get out. Put the game down, bro. The game's going to be here in 10 years, and it's probably going to be better games in 10 years. Just forget about it. Like, we are on a mission, and we all got to help each other. Put the guns down. We don't need them. You feel me? If you really have beef, settle it a more manly way. We don't need to be killing each other every single day. It's no need for it. So
go buy a pair of boxing gloves and sell it.
I didn't want to say it, and I'm glad you did, because you from back in the day, and that's how you supposed to.
Buy a pair of boxing gloves so everybody walk away.
Buy a pair of boxing gloves, man. We don't need all this flashy clothes, all that, man. Put your money in somewhere important. Go invest. Go read Rich Dad Poor Dad. You know what I mean? Go get on a podcast, Atomic Habits, something. You know, but we can't just keep killing ourselves, because I'm gonna tell you this: the people who are where we want to be, they're expecting it out of us. And they sitting back counting their dollars like, yep, they doing exactly what I thought they would.
Listen, you should watch, if y'all haven't watched the episode with Lily where she talks about life insurance, and like, you know, it's a powerful episode, and you just drop some more nuggets. I'm also gonna plug, I'm gonna put all these links in these books in the title. If you haven't read Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill,
by Napoleon Hill, of course.
I can already tell by your mindset you're a student of that. I think everybody should read that book. So find some time to do it. It's transformational, y'all. But thank y'all for going on this stroll. This is Jimmy. This is Kenny. We'll see y'all soon.
Peace.